What's going on, everybody? The Arid Lord is here. Welcome back to another Walking Dead Season 10 vlog as we prepare only just about a week away from the premiere of Season 10, the beginning of my reaction videos, and so much more content to come. Oh my gosh, we're ready. Yes, we are. We're ready for our shitting pants to be back on. Woo! Anyway, one of the things I wanted to discuss in this vlog is this little clip that came up with Negan and Father Gabriel, in which Negan addresses that he hopes that he doesn't get categorized in the them category with Father Gabriel, meaning that he doesn't want to be categorized as the enemy because the Whisperers are now the main enemy. He was once public enemy number one, and now the Whisperers have become the new enemy that is on everyone's radar because of the horrific crime they committed with all of the heads and pikes that they displayed and the major characters that they killed. Maybe more horrific than the brains that Negan bashed, Glenn and Abraham, because that was only two people. You could argue that he also killed Olivia and Spencer. I mean, there were a few others. Sasha was collateral damage. A lot of people died in the all-out war Negan war arc. But this was an evisceration of 12 people all at once in a very savage way, and there was no humanity. I mean, at least Negan was trying to get some form of civilization, if even it was in a tyrannical way. So, the enemy is real, the enemy is evil, and the enemy is out there. And Negan, in this clip, addresses the fact that he doesn't want to get any blowback from all of the fright that is going across Alexandria and the hilltop. Now, it's going to be interesting to me because Negan has an extra role. As we knew from the trailer with the images that were released, we saw that he is taking this gardening role. Which is in line with Carl's vision of the future where he talks to Judith, so it played out perfectly. Apparently Carl is Nostradamus. We didn't know that. But he has a role of, he kind of jokes about taking out the garbage and tending to the vegetables, but I mean, it's really a parole kind of role. I mean, this is them trusting him, especially after saving Judith from the snowstorm. I mean, that was really the turning point. Michonne probably is a big leader in that regard of making that decision, I can imagine. But I'm interested to see because I'm interested to see Negan have conversations with other characters, because last season, I'm trying to think, he had that one conversation with Maggie. Sorry. Getting over a little bit of a cold. But anyway, he had that conversation with Maggie, that they adapted from the comics because she was leaving the show. I guess she might come back. I don't know if that's going to happen this season. That's for another vlog. But they had that one conversation that was really building up for a long time, ever since Negan was imprisoned and Maggie disagreed with that decision. And then of the other characters, we had the conversations between Negan and Rick before Rick left the show, which was in line with the comic books when Rick would go into the basement and have conversations with Negan. We won't get the conversations where he went and asked for his opinion with the Whisperers, unfortunately. That's something that I was hoping would be adapted, but it unfortunately can't be. But I'm trying to think. I mean, Michonne was the biggest one. That's basically been the Rick replacement, has been Michonne. And then you've also had Father Gabriel, who forgot to lock the gate again and has to take Negan. The joke he makes where he shits in a pot and he says, "Hey, there was something that was in my ass and you have to clean that up." And he's just pushing. That's when he's pushing Gabriel's buttons when Rosita's in danger and Gabriel doesn't know if she's okay. So yeah, it's mainly been Father Gabriel, Michonne, and then of course the relationship between him and Judith, which is pretty unique. Kind of like a father-daughter kind of thing. But I'd say those three, really, it's been Judith, Michonne, and Father Gabriel. Really nobody else other than the two characters that left the show, Rick and Maggie. No one else has had conversations with Negan in his cell. And now, at least from the trailer, we see that Daryl is going to have some one-on-one time with Negan, which is long overdue. They have not talked to each other I don't know, maybe since season 8, maybe since season 7, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't know if Daryl's even been to visit Negan. This will be a very interesting conversation, considering that Negan, Daryl punched Negan, then Negan imprisoned him. Negan killed Glenn because of what Daryl did. I mean, there's a lot of animosity and resentment between these two guys. I don't know if Negan kind of has put water under the bridge and wants to move on. I guarantee Daryl doesn't want that, even though there's the bigger threat on the horizon. I don't know if you saw in the trailer where he says, "You and I have never been in a room. We've never been toe to toe." And then there's that shot where it looks like Daryl's punching somebody. I don't know. Is he just? I doubt that Negan would let himself be just beat up by Daryl. I don't know. Maybe if he tried to escape or fight back, who knows? Maybe someone steps in. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously Daryl's not going to kill him, but yeah. And then the previews that we saw, it looks like Aaron and Negan are teaming up. Aaron, that's that comment where he's like, "Oh, look at the old stump with the spiked mace that Aaron has fit on his fist." It looks like Negan and Aaron, peanut butter meet jelly. Again, another line from the trailer. They're teaming up, and I don't know in what capacity they're fighting. I don't know if they're fighting whispers or if they're just fighting zombies in certain sectors they need to clear. That remains unclear. But in general, I like the idea of Negan being around to see the Cold War aspect of everyone freaking out. People just scared, PTSD of what the Whisperer's doing, and just Negan being a silent observer. He wasn't affected really at all by what they did. He was just a prisoner of the people who were. So he can kind of look at this through a different lens and be like, "Oh, there's some interesting things going on to the people who have imprisoned me for all this time." So it's going to be interesting. Will Judith kind of guide Negan's thinking? We have seen images of Brandon, who is a comic book character who has very meaningful interactions with Negan, but it does involve Rick. The Brandon stuff really exclusively involves Rick, so I'm not sure if they're going to remix that with a different character. Maybe Daryl. I think it would make the most sense. It's basically someone for Brandon. Basically in the comics, Brandon is related to one of the Pike victims. He blames their death on Rick. He basically either wants to kill Rick or just wants vengeance on Rick. And he thinks that releasing Negan might be a way of getting back at Rick, even though he doesn't realize that Negan has some other thoughts, some rehabilitated, things that have gone on since his imprisonment, which Brandon doesn't realize. But the thing is, he was always imprisoned in the comics. He never was allowed a chance for parole, to step outside, to tend to the gardens, to be a part of this civilization, if even in a small way, because obviously he's shown that he can make contributions such as saving Judith. So there's really nowhere for Negan to break out and run to, again, because in the comics the Saviors and the Sanctuary still exist under new leadership, but in the show the Sanctuary is a bust. And Negan already broke out last season, went to the Sanctuary, realized it was a shithole. Judith cornered him and was like, "You broke out. That's not a good idea. Do you realize that there's nothing for you beyond Alexandria?" So there's no reason for him to leave. Especially with the Whisperers, there's no reason for Negan to leave unless he was going to intentionally sabotage the Whisperers in order to help Judith and people that he cared about in Alexandria. So it's you got different things at play here. They play out differently in the comics and the show. I imagine that, again, Angela Kang is going to remix this in a logical way in which we'll get the storyline from start to finish and we won't feel anything that, that didn't make sense or whatnot. They had the red carpet premiere a few days ago. I guess the first episode aired to an exclusive audience. Some media members have been viewing episodes. I've been tweeting with some of them about some of the things they've seen. I know that the second episode of this season is kind of a flashback episode for the Whispers in the beginning of Alpha and Beta, which is amazing. Again, Kirkman never went into their backstory in the comics, so this is a great opportunity for the show to go into some greater detail. You've got great actors in Ryan Hurst and Samantha Morton, so take advantage of their talent. Even Cassidy McClincy, who plays Lydia, you got a lot of talent there to work with, so use the flashbacks, use this great talent, don't let it go to waste. I'm glad Angela Kang's doing it. And then you got the spooky episodes. Apparently episode 3's got, again, it's probably some McCarthyism. If you guys know what that means, basically, you know, like the Cold War, Red Scare, when Americans feared communists and the Russians. And so you got a bit of that with people probably, you know, are you a whisperer? Are you a whisperer? Like they see a zombie, they're not sure if it's a whisper. It's going to be a lot of freaky stuff. Like I like how the whispers bring that horror aspect because they're zombies that move and act like humans because they are humans under the skin. So, interesting. I did watch a few of the interviews from the red carpet. I saw just, you know, Jeffrey Dean Morgan had a really funny interview because the interviewer asked him straight up, look, Alpha, I mean, this is a spoiler, by the way, guys, just what I'm about to say. In the comic book, Negan kills Alpha when he visits the Whisperers and sees their way of life. And so the interviewer straight up said, hey, do you know what happens with Negan and Alpha in the comics? And he's like, yeah, I'm aware. And he basically was kind of giggling like, yeah, I'd love for that to happen. I'd love for that to happen. Like, he is a fan of Negan being the one to kill Alpha just because it's so unexpected. In the comics, you would think that somebody who was affected by Alpha, you know, Rick or, you know, somebody who was massively impacted by the deaths from the Pikes would be getting the kill. And I think and I've said this, that I think Carol, it would make more sense because, I mean, her son was the biggest reveal, Henry, of the Pike victims, even though I didn't like that. I think really, like, Carol is the anti-Alpha. Alpha is like an evil Carol. They're they're foils of each other. And I think Carol would probably be the perfect person to kill Alpha. But if you want a wild card where you want to kind of throw the audience for a loop and do some story stuff, you can keep it with Negan. But I don't want them to cut the Negan Alpha stuff that happens in the comics. I want Negan and Alpha to still have their dialogue. I still want the like Frowning McTwo Knives when Negan insults Beta. He calls Beta Frowning McTwo Knives. When that kind of stuff happens, like it's funny. It's one of the issues 154 to 156 are just freaking hilarious with the shit that Negan does with the Whisperers. It's incredible. So I hope, I mean, they can't adapt all the swears and all that stuff, but I hope that they get a version of it, and then I'm satisfied. So, I mean, these are just some of the wish list things. I mean, we had that talk about the preview. But again, as we get closer, if there are any other vlogs you guys want me to address, like, for example, I did my predictions as to who was going to die. That was a suggestion from a fan to do the predictions. And I made that vlog, and yeah, it was a good idea. It was something I actually completely overlooked. I was like, yeah, that would actually make sense to do a death prediction for the new season. I don't know if I did that for previous seasons, but it would make sense for Season 10 because we're going up against one of the toughest threats, one of the most savage, immoral threats. They're just the anti-civilization. They will kill whoever they need to. No rules. So this is definitely the biggest challenge the group has faced. So there's going to be some collateral damage. So I'm glad I got those predictions out for you guys. And of course, if you have any thoughts of your own, please leave them in the comments below, and I will be sure to get to them. So, all right, guys. I mean, expect maybe 1 or 2 more vlogs before the season. I'm going to start up the reaction videos, and we're going to resume right from where we were in Season 9. I mean, as long as YouTube doesn't have any restrictions, there isn't anything new I'm bumping into in terms of rules and regulations or whatever, I should be able to go forth unimpeded. So, all right, with all that said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you soon for more content. And as always, comment, rate, subscribe, and let's get it with Season 10. I'm super pumped. Feels like The Walking Dead has been gone forever, but now it's finally back. So, all right, thanks, guys. Peace out.